If you like glitches in the Matrix stories, strange encounters, and other puzzling or scary stories, you're at the right place, 'cause that's what we do. Make sure you don't miss any new videos by hitting the subscribe button right now. First glitch. So a few years ago, I went on this epic road trip across the states with some buddies. Our adventure highlight? This magical forest in Colorado. Seriously, it looked like it was pulled straight from a fantasy book. Before the trip, I'd bought this incredibly crafted knife from a local artisan. It had this beautiful wooden handle, unique patterns, and the blade was super sharp, a real work of art. I loved showing it off and using it to carve little things or prep food at our campsite. On one of our deeper hikes into the forest, I took out the knife to peel an apple, and that's where it all starts. I accidentally dropped the knife, and after it hit a rock, it just disappeared. It's like the forest floor had a secret trapdoor or something. We searched the area for ages, but it was like the knife had teleported out of existence. I was very disappointed, of course. I really liked that knife. But after a while, I just accepted that it was gone forever. Now, let's zoom to just a couple of weeks ago. I get this super worn-out package in the mail. No return address, just my name and address scribbled in this oddly fancy handwriting. I tear it open and, you guessed it, it's the knife. But wait, there's more. There's this tiny note inside, written in Hungarian. After some sloppy Google translating, I deciphered, "Found this while exploring Budapest's parks. Thought you might be missing it." Hold up, I've never been to Europe, let alone Hungary. And this knife? It's one of a kind, so there's no mistaking it's mine. Plus, the postmark? Straight from Budapest and only a few days old. So, like, WTF? How did my knife travel from a forest in Colorado to a park in Budapest? And who's the mysterious, kind-hearted Hungarian who mailed it back? Most importantly, how did they even get my address? Anyone have a logical explanation, or have I stumbled into some real-life Narnia-level stuff here? P.S. to the Hungarian park wanderer, if you're out there, massive thanks and super curious how you found me. Next glitch. Back in the day, before all the note-taking apps and Siri, I had this quirky habit with my trusty old flip phone. Instead of scribbling on paper, I'd dial my own number and leave voicemails for myself. Grocery lists, reminders, sometimes even little pep talks, don't judge. So, on this fateful day, I'm walking downtown, mentally prepping my grocery list when my phone rings. I pick up, and all I hear are familiar city noises. I'm thinking, pocket dial from a buddy maybe? But then there's this distinctive double car honk in the background. Super odd, but okay, whatever. I hang up. I go to dial my number, ready to verbally list out my groceries, milk, bread, eggs, the usual. But instead of the familiar voicemail tone, I hear a confused, "Hello?" on the other end. For a second, I'm thrown off. Did I misdial? But the voice sounds eerily familiar. Before I can even say anything, I'm snapped out of my confusion by a commotion on the street. A car has stopped randomly, and another car behind it lets out two sharp honks. Wait a second. Suddenly it hits me like a ton of bricks. I had literally just listened to a future version of myself from a few minutes ahead, leaving a message. The distinct honks, the background noise, the hello, it all matched perfectly. Of course, when I try explaining this to my buddies, they say I was daydreaming or had too many coffees that day. But I swear on my old Nokia that phone call was some freaky forewarning from the universe or whatever. To this day, I can't explain it. Did I momentarily tap into the time-space continuum? Or was it just a crazy coincidence? I guess I'll never know. Next glitch. I was staying at a hotel for a conference once. Woke up one morning to find all my essentials, shampoo, toothbrush, deodorant, etc., completely replaced. Everything brand new, still in its original packaging, like it hadn't even been touched. I hadn't left my room at all, and they were items I had been using at home for a while, and even just the night before at the hotel. But it's like someone had come in the middle of the night and exchanged them for completely untouched copies. Struggling to make sense of it, I asked the reception, and they said they had no clue. They asked if I wanted to file a complaint, but I didn't want to make a fuss. I just kept the new stuff and checked out. I still have no idea what happened. Next glitch. I was splitting logs in our backyard when on a particularly tough swing, the axes just glided through the wood, leaving it intact. I pulled the axe out, very confused. I inspected the log, and it was completely unscathed. But I did see the axe going through it. I tried again and the same thing happened. The log was intact. I was really freaked out. I called my wife to show her, but when we returned, the log was just wood chips, like if you'd fed it into a wood shredder. It hasn't happened since, but my wife swears she has been seeing weird things in the backyard ever since. Next glitch. I was working late one evening in a newly constructed office building when I decided to take a break and walk in the rooftop garden. The view was great, showing the entire city skyline. As I was standing at the railing, a bird soared past me, froze in midair for a moment. Then it was like a video being rewound. It just went back the way it came, still facing the same direction in reverse. It looked like it had been pulled backward really fast. I was like, wow. And I looked around to see if anyone else had seen it, but I was alone. I have no idea what it was, but it was definitely not normal. Next glitch. Camping in the Rockies. I was sitting by a campfire, chatting with some friends late into the night. Suddenly, the fire got uncomfortably warm and began twisting unnaturally, forming a sort of helix structure while emitting an oddly soothing hum. We were speechless and just stared at it for a while. Then it just went back to normal. But the scent of burnt marshmallows lingered in the air. None of us had marshmallow that night, and couldn't explain where the scent came from. Next glitch. I worked as a chef in a posh restaurant downtown. One evening, I was busy preparing meals when my co-worker Jane came into the kitchen. She told me she was leaving to pick up fresh supplies at that new supplier of ours, and left. As I was chopping the vegetables, Jane walked in again. I asked her if she had already gotten the supplies, and she answered that no, she's about to, and was just coming in to tell me. She was surprised when I told her she had already told me that. She said she hadn't and left. Once she left, I asked my team if Jane had walked in a while ago, and they all said no. I dropped the subject because I didn't want to sound crazy. Next glitch. I was traveling through Australia, hitchhiking my way through the scenic routes. One day I got picked up by this elderly couple driving a camper. They were friendly, cheerful, and full of stories about their travels. We took a lunch break near a local landmark, a famous tree of some sort. After we finished eating, I asked to take a group picture with the tree for memory's sake. We posed, I set the self-timer, and ran to join them. They dropped me off at my destination a few hours later, and I thanked them for the ride. Later in the evening, when I checked the photos, I realized that the tree was not in any of them. You could see us, the sky, but the spot where the tree should have been was like someone had photoshopped it out, leaving just a patch of matching sky in its place. Couldn't come up with any logical explanation. Next glitch. I was doing a summer job at a landfill site, sorting out recyclables. It was an open area and quite hot, but I got used to the flies and smelled pretty quick. It was my regular routine until one day, while I was grabbing a piece of cardboard, it slipped and I stumbled. The next moment I found myself at the lakeside park I usually hang out at during weekends. I was sort of transported whole, still dressed in my work clothes, and smelling like the dump. People in the park were obviously grossed out, but I barely noticed because I was still trying to figure out what had happened. My cell phone was dead, so I couldn't call anyone. I walked 1 hour back to the dump, and the manager was surprised to see me. He said I had been missing for most of the day. I was shocked. I had no recollection of anything after I stumbled. I was fired on the spot. Thank you for listening, friends. I hope you liked it.